The town of Crestfall had once been prosperous. Now it was a forgotten place. Weathered buildings lined the empty streets. Their windows were like vacant eyes. The silence was broken only by the wind. It whistled through the trees, carrying with it the scent of decay. At the edge of town stood Blackwood Manor. It was a Victorian mansion, once grand, now crumbling. Its once bright paint was peeling. The wrought iron gates were rusted and overgrown with ivy. The house loomed over the town like a watchful spectre. This was a place people avoided. Local legends whispered of dark secrets hidden within its walls. It was said that the house was cursed. Those who dared to enter never returned. Clara Crane wasn't from Crestfall. She was a history student with a thirst for the unknown. Drawn by the town's eerie charm and the manor's sinister history, she found herself standing at its rusted gates. The stories did little to deter her. Instead, they fueled her curiosity. Clara had always been drawn to the past. She believed that to understand the present, one had to delve into the past. And Blackwood Manor held a past that whispered to her soul. Ignoring the prickling unease crawling up her spine, Clara pushed open the gates. They groaned in protest, their rusty hinges complaining after years of silence. The sound echoed in the stillness, a prelude to the secrets that awaited within. The air inside was heavy with dust and the smell of decay. Cobwebs hung from every corner. The only light came from the few slivers of sunlight that pierced the boarded-up windows. It painted long, eerie shadows on the dusty floor. Clara stepped cautiously inside, her hand trailing along the cold, damp wall. The wallpaper, once vibrant, was now faded and torn. It peeled away from the walls like shedding skin, revealing glimpses of the past beneath. The house creaked around her. It was the sound of settling wood and the ghosts of forgotten memories, but to Clara's ears, it was a mournful sigh. It was as if the house itself was trying to tell its story. In the dimly lit parlor, a large portrait hung above the fireplace. It depicted a family, a man, a woman, and a young girl. They stared back at Clara with vacant eyes, their smiles cold and lifeless. The girl held a porcelain doll, its painted eyes eerily similar to her own. As Clara gazed at the portrait, she felt a cold shiver run down her spine. The eyes of the family seemed to follow her every move. Their gazes were unnerving. They seemed to hold a silent plea. Then she heard it. A whisper. It was faint, almost indistinguishable from the creaking of the house, but it was there. A voice carried on the edge of silence. Help us. The whisper seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. Clara's heart pounded in her chest. She turned, searching for the source of the voice, but the room was empty. Upstairs, the whisper came again. This time it was clearer, more insistent. It seemed to pull at Clara, urging her onward. Fear warred with curiosity within Clara. The rational part of her urged her to flee, but something else, something deeper, compelled her to follow the whispers. She took a step towards the grand staircase. Each step upward was a step closer to the unknown. The attic was shrouded in darkness. Dust motes danced in the single beam of light that sliced through a crack in the boarded window. The air was thick with the smell of decay and the weight of forgotten memories. In the center of the room, beneath the beam of light, sat a small wooden chest. It was ornate with brass hinges and a tarnished silver lock. Clara knelt before it, her fingers tracing the intricate carvings on its surface. Inside, she found a leather-bound journal. Its pages were brittle with age, the ink was faded. With bated breath, Clara began to read. The words told a tale of betrayal, despair, and a family trapped within their own home. # Section 7, a ritual of release. The journal belonged to the woman in the portrait. It chronicled a dark ritual performed by the townsfolk. They believed the family was cursed, so they trapped them within the walls of Blackwood Manor, their souls bound to the house. The ritual required specific candles, incantations, and a blood offering. The instructions were detailed. They were chilling. Clara felt a surge of sympathy for the trapped family. She knew she had to help them. As darkness fell, Clara gathered the necessary items. She lit the candles. Their flames flickered, casting dancing shadows on the attic walls. With a deep breath, she began to speak the incantation. Section 8. A breath of freedom. The air grew cold. The shadows in the attic seemed to writhe and twist. Clara could feel a presence in the room with her. It was growing stronger. Fear pricked at her skin, but she continued chanting. She would finish what she started. Suddenly, the house groaned. The candles flickered and died, plunging the attic into darkness. Clara gasped and stumbled back. She could hear the whisper again. This time it was filled with relief and gratitude. Then a blinding white light filled the room. Clara shielded her eyes. When it faded, she found herself standing in the attic. It was empty. The chest, the journal, and the oppressive presence were gone. The silence was deafening. Section 9. A new dawn. The next morning, the sun rose over Crestfall. Its golden rays bathed Blackwood Manor in an ethereal glow. The house, for the first time in decades, seemed at peace. The windows, no longer boarded up, sparkled in the sunlight. Clara stood outside the gates. She watched as the first rays of the sun touched the manor's weathered facade. The oppressive aura that had clung to the house for so long had lifted. It had been replaced by a sense of tranquility. The whispers were gone. In their place, Clara felt a profound sense of gratitude. She had helped the trapped souls find peace. She had given them the freedom they had been denied for so long. As Clara turned to leave, she glanced back at Blackwood Manor. The sun may have risen, chasing away the shadows of the night, but some stains never truly fade. The house stood tall and proud, its secrets buried deep within its walls. Clara knew that the manor's past would always be a part of its present, but now it was a past at peace, and that, she realized, was enough. As she walked away from Crestfall, she carried with her the weight of the manor's story. It was a reminder that even in the quietest of places, the past can still whisper its secrets to those who dare to listen.